Hey, I'm that Weems guy here for First Person Safety. I've got Tom Gibbons, noted firearms instructor. We're here at the Rangemaster Instructor Reunion, which is a continuing education event for Rangemaster certified instructors. Tom, explain to our viewers what the importance of continuing education for firearms instructors is.
Okay. Well, if you think about it, in other professions, doctors and lawyers have to have continuing education credits every year to keep their licenses. Police officers have to go through post-certified training every year to keep their commissions. Pilots go through sustainment training a couple of times a year to keep their flight status. That's true of most professions. In our profession, equipment changes radically. I mean, when I first started teaching in the 70s, there were about two choices. You had a K-frame revolver or a 1911. We've got quite a few more guns than that available to us now. We've learned a god awful lot in the last 20, 25 years about how people learn physical skills, how they retain them. We learned a lot about tactical issues over the years. You know, the personal attacks has changed greatly from 25, 30 years ago. Just everything in our world changes constantly. So if you don't continue to train, you become obsolete in no time at all, basically. You know, I've been teaching, I started teaching on a part-time basis in 1975, full-time 1996. I'm thinking seriously about making a career out of this. But you know, what I teach now is not what I taught in 1980, and no other competent trainer teaches now what they did 10 years ago. And I think it's really critically important to get out of your own little box, you know, not just be a big fish in a small pond, go out and be exposed to different equipment, different techniques, different methodologies. I mean, hell, a lot of times I'll take what you might call a basic level class from a different instructor, just to see how he explains the same things. You know, there are relatively few ways to run a pistol successfully, but there are numerous ways to explain that to people. And I think that's a critically important component to being able to be exposed to other training methods, different terminologies and whatnot, and be able to pick up things. I don't think I've ever taken a class, I've taken an awful lot of them over the years, where they'd learn something, even if it was, for God's sake, don't do it that way. And you've seen the same thing. And a lot of times you learn more by observing another trainer than you do actually taking a class. So often as I can, I'll check in on somebody else's class and see what they're doing, how they're doing it, whatnot. And I think it's just part of personal growth and development for anybody. And I think if you hold yourself out as someone to train other people in a life-saving emergency skill, you owe it to them to stay current and to keep your skills up and broaden your thinking a little bit.
So the certification is not the end of the journey, that's just a part of the journey.
I can't sign a piece of paper and make you competent. I can sign a piece of paper and say that you met certain requirements. And you know, like I said, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I still try really hard. I don't always get two, but I try to get at least one or two classes from somebody outside the organization every year, just to to get some trigger time. As you figured out, if you want to shoot a lot less, become a full-time trainer. You get to yak a lot more, but shoot a lot less. So I take a relatively high rank kind of class once or twice a year from somebody else, just so I can get some structured trigger time with somebody else watching me. Because I don't care who you are, errors creep in from time to time. I took a class from Ernie Langdon a couple of years ago. I've known Ernie since the 90s. I finally got to take a class from him because, you know, I always have the same schedule, essentially. So I had a class, didn't look like I was going to make somewhere, so I canceled it and took Ernie's class. And Ernie picked up on something I was doing wrong that I was not aware I was doing wrong. Fixed it, shooting improved. And that's to me, that's a value. And plus I got to hear how Ernie explained 2 or 3 things, and a couple of them I worked into my program. You know, I take other people's classes so I can still audit how they do things and pick up little tidbits here and there. You know, I took Gabe White's class a few years ago and just had an aha moment in it, and immediately adopted one of his phrases. And you don't get that if you don't get off your ass and get out and train.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tom, and I hope our viewers found this insight from Tom Gibbons very beneficial. I'm Lee, First Person Safety.